Hello everyone. Yes, I believe you've been enjoying the classes so far from our very distinguished, real class, an outstanding class. Yes, if that's the case, congratulations. Now we are looking at another text, an inspector calls a non-African drama written by J.B. Priestley. Alright, the thematic concern of this text is class struggles, the gap between the rich and the poor, and how the writer seeks that this gap be bridged. Yes, and the entire story takes place in the sitting room of the Berlin's family. The Berlins, made up of the patriarch, the head of the family known as Otto Berlin, and of course the wife known as Sibyl Berlin, and of course their daughter Sheila, and of course their son called Eric. Yes, and the play opens with Otto Berlin, the patriarch, celebrating the engagement of his daughter known as Sheila to his lover known as Gerard Croft. Everyone is very, very happy because of the celebration. Not until an inspector comes in called Inspector Good to question the family about the demise or death of a girl that once worked with them known as Eva Smith, otherwise called Daisy Renting. And with the questions that he asks them, alright, it means that in our society, whatever anybody faces, collectively we are involved in the problem faced by individuals. If all of us come together to make sure that we actually survive and we help one another, nobody will be a victim of poverty. So the death of the girl in question is the reason behind the inspector coming to visit and questioning them, letting them know that individually or collectively they are involved in the death of the girl in question. They are not aware until he poses them with a series of questions, allowing them to know their individual contributions to the death of the girl in question. Of course, don't forget, Eva Smith, the girl who is said to have died, actually works in the company of Berlins, before she was actually said to have passed away. Now, the inspector calls in to question the Berlins about their individual involvements in the death of one of their workers, Eva Smith, also called Daisy Renting. But according to Otto Berlin says that's the patriarch of the Berlins, that he couldn't have been involved in the death of the girl because as at the time she died, she's no longer working with them. And the inspector lets the man know the question he poses on him, that if you had not sacked the girl in question, the girl would have been frustrated for her to have gone to drink a disinfectant that leads to her death. So Otto Berlin is accused of sacking Eva Smith for staging a strike protest, and it's her right to stage a protest for her salary to be increased. But because of that, she was eventually sacked, and it leads her to poverty, and then she eventually went and committed suicide. So indirectly now, the man in question has contributed immensely to the death of the girl in question. And C.B. Berlin, the wife of Otto Berlin, is also accused of contributing to the death of the girl in question because she runs a charity organization. As at the time the girl was suffering, she had come to seek financial support from the so-called Sibyl, who has been giving out money to other people for assistance. But the very time that Eva Smith came around, because she's a member of the lower class, they disregarded that offer and nobody gave her anything. Of course, the inspector puts it to her that you are one of the contributors to the demise of the girl in question. And then Sheila, the daughter of the Berlins, is also accused of having a hand in Eva Smith's death because on one occasion where she works, she asks for the girl to be sacked from there because she's jealous of the way the girl appears and all of that. So indirectly too, Sheila contributes to the predicament that bedeviled the life of Eva Smith, leading to her death. Now, Gerard Croft is also accused of raping Eva Smith one time. And then that of course causes a lot of trauma in the life of the girl. And then we talk about Eric. Who is Eric? Eric is the son of the Berlins. He's also accused of, having an affair with Eva Smith, getting her pregnant, that eventually lands her in trouble. So individually, all of them contribute immensely to the problem that bedeviled the life of the girl in question, making her to, get frustrated, making her to, of course, drink a disinfectant that leads to her sudden death. So the inspector lets us know at the end of the day that individually all of us are ambassadors of the problems that people face in our society. If collectively we make sure that our neighbors are doing well, we make sure that things are happening well around us, then things wouldn't go bad as they have appeared to be. Okay, so immediately Inspector who leaves their house, their apartment of the Berlins, all of them start having this, self-guilt. Okay, they start having this feeling of being guilty because individually they feel they may have led to the involvement of the girl in suicide because she's accused or said to have drunk disinfectant leading to her death. Alright, so that's that. The whole family is put in disarray or confusion. All of them blame one another, especially Eric and Sheila. They feel, disappointed in themselves for contributing to the death of the girl in question. So that's that for this text that is about class struggles. In our next class, we are going to be looking at the themes and we'll look at the subject matter of An Inspector Calls by J.B. Priestley. Alright, we are still looking at An Inspector Calls by J.B. Priestley. This time we are looking at the text against the background of the characters and the themes. Now, Otto Berlin, as we earlier said, is the patriarch of the Berlins and the husband of Sibyl Berlin. Yes, who actually chose the couple at the initial stage of the texts, but is halted by the arrival of Inspector Gould to question them about the demise of Eva Smith, who wants to work with him. Then we talk about Sibyl Berlin. She's the matriarch of the Berlins, okay, who demonstrates a high level of hypocrisy, giving out financial assistance to members of the upper class, but for the lower class, represented by Eva Smith, she does not afford to give anyone who belongs to the lower class. Now, Eric Berlin is the son of the Berlins, of course, and we are told about his involvement in the tragic demise of Eva Smith, the girl in question. Now, we talk about Sheila Berlin. Sheila Berlin is the daughter of the Berlins, okay, who in one way or the other is also accused by the inspector of having a hand in the death of the girl in question. Then we talk about Gerald Croft. Of course, at the initial stage of the text, we are told that he is getting ready to marry Sheila Berlin. Now, Inspector Gould is the government inspector who has come around to question the family members, the Berlins in general, about their involvement in the tragic demise of Eva Smith in the text. Now, let's look at the themes. We talk about the class struggles, the struggle between the rich and the poor. The rich represented by the Berlins and the poor represented by Eva Smith, also called the Daisy Renton in the text. And poverty. It is poverty that actually leads Eva Smith to commit suicide in the text by drinking a disinfectant because she is actually frustrated. Now we talk about hypocrisy. How can you be giving out financial assistance to people in the upper class, but for those in the lower class, you fail to do that? And you say you have a charity organization. So you are demonstrating a high level of hypocrisy as found in the life of Sibyl Berlin. Then you talk about immorality. Immorality is found in the life of Eric Berlin and of course Gerald Croft, who individually had an affair with Eva Smith, making her have emotional trauma. Then we talk about remorse. Although some of the characters do not have a feeling of being sorry or have a feeling of remorse because of their individual involvement in the tragic demise of the girl in question. But for Eric and Sheila, they are seen as people who demonstrate a high level of self-guilt, and they actually feel sorry for their individual contributions to the pains of Eva Smith in the text. So in our next video or class, we shall look at the text called "So the Path Does Not Die" by P. Honest.